Please be advised that this video is for the sole purpose of entertainment. Any views are purely my own, are subjective and may not necessarily be true. I do, however, do extensive research for all of my videos. All photos have been found on the public domain. I am using them under the fair use and fair dealing guidelines. I urge everybody to do their own research. Well, hello, it's Murky Meg here. It's Sunday the 27th of October and Buckingham Palace has issued a calculated reprehension to the suggestion that Harry and Meghan have single-handedly modernised the monarchy. A senior courtier said, "There's enough experience here, despite what was said, to know that people who jump in without comments from the sanctity of being unnamed and unidentifiable might think they are helping. But the family is clear that if there are issues to be discussed, they will be discussed behind closed doors." A British diplomatic source in the US also commented, "Everything is fluid at the moment from the government's point of view, but I wouldn't be surprised if Harry and Meghan end up here, i.e. the States." He also said that the way it is going in Britain at the moment, there is nothing for them to lose in leaving. So was the documentary done to test the public's opinion by playing the victim to see how we reacted? And because it's not gone down the way that they wanted it to go and got the reception that they wanted, quite the opposite in fact, they're running off with their tails between their legs, calling the media and the British people all the names under the sun and using it as an excuse that they can flee, rather than look retrospectively and see what's caused this negative backlash. Any normal person would wonder why the public feels this way. So why don't they? Why can't they look at their behaviour and say, "Oh yeah, we did this wrong, didn't we? How about doing it this? How can we make it better?" They literally just pile on, "You're bullies, you're playing this card, you're playing that card, we hate you and we're leaving." They can't actually look within themselves and realise that it's their hypocrisy and the lack of respect towards the monarchy that's been their downfall in regards to the public eye. I truly believe that in Meghan's head, and let's face it, Harry won't have a damn say in anything when it comes to Meghan. I think that she thought that the documentary would be her Diana and Martin Bashir moment. The one where the curtain is lifted and the public see the doting duchess that she is. The one that cares for the people, has not a selfish bone in her body. The people would fall madly in love with the poor duchess with the hard life. Sadly, because nothing was actually genuine or compassionate in the documentary, that didn't happen. So their PR team are now on the attack for the royal family. Don't bite the hand that feeds you, Meghan and Harry. Are you that stupid? The article also suggests that Harry and Meghan are thinking about a permanent move to the States. Do you think that's the right thing for them? It's very clear from the look on Harry's face that he now physically hates Britain. He hates the people, he hates the press. It's all over his face. And he's suing them. So, do you know what? He must be pretty bitter. And if that's the fact, then there is nothing else to be done. I think that the royal family ought to give them their way if they want to go to the States. Let them do this if they clearly want to. But you can't take your money with you. That's what the general public will be asking. If they move to the States, will they be allowed an allowance? Will they get to keep their titles? It's a big question. I'm glad Buckingham Palace have kind of done this announcement or fed this through an advisor, because something does need to be done. Rather than modernising the monarchy, what they're actually doing is damaging it with their constant publicity, complaining and arrogance. By suggesting that they are modernising the royal family, they are alienating the British public from a once very popular young man. If Harry wants to stay within the royal family, and I think that's very doubtful, he needs to sit down with his brother, listen to what he has to say and act on that advice. And tell his wife that this is good, the way it's going to be. Basically, you are royal, you get the lifestyle and the trappings and the money. If you want to stay in this life, you will have to take on advice and act like a royal. Otherwise, The future for them is in royal life is over in Britain. Unfortunately, this is what happens when you bring an inexperienced American ruthless PR firm who don't have the foggiest idea of how our monarchy works. If you haven't already, I suggest that you have a look at a lady called Shalon Lester on YouTube. She's done some incredibly insightful videos with regards to Harry and Meghan and other celebrities too. I recommend that you watch her. She's got an amazing insight. She used to work for a very big gossip magazine. She said prior to Meghan, there wasn't much gossip coming out of the royal family, that they were a really tight ship. But once Meghan joined, the floodgates literally opened and they were receiving tip after tip after tip. They were all coming from Meghan's camp. She was playing with the media and making sure any little titbit and juicy bit of gossip got into the press. Do you think that's fair then? That she is now complaining that the press aren't fair? If they do leave this country, do you think it's fair that they take their titles with them? And do you think that their own security should be paid at their own expense rather than the taxpayer? If they do leave, Meghan's work will be complete. She wrecked her relationship with her own family, and she's now doing the same with Harry and his family, but also the British public as well. Their PR advisors are so out of depth and clearly don't understand the mutual relationship between the royal family and their subjects. There are many hard-working senior royals like Anne and Sophie who don't crave attention like Meghan and Harry, and I'd wager that they are about as fed up of them as we are. We never hear the Queen complain, do we? She gave a heartfelt speech in the Guildhall on the 24th of November 1992, marking the 40th anniversary of her accession, in which she said, "1992 is not a year on which I shall look back with undiluted pleasure. In the words of one of my more sympathetic correspondents, it has turned out to be an annus horribilis." Annus horribilis is a Latin phrase meaning horrible year. At no point has the Queen succumbed to whinging to the general public, nor would she ever, because it's something that she just wouldn't do. Harry and Meghan have been advised very poorly by a company that doesn't have an understanding of our monarchy and its workings, and it's driving their popularity ever more down. A lot of us knew that this was going to happen before they even got married. It was far too rushed, in my opinion, and they didn't know each other because they lived either side of the Atlantic. My mum has always said, you never truly know somebody until you live with them for a whole year. I think this was the plan all along. I think that she wanted to return to the States with a famous and a rich man in tow. She thinks this will make her become a global superstar, and she desperately craves that attention. But will they still get their allowance? What will they do about security? Who will pay for that? And if they live abroad, would their titles go with them? That's a huge issue for me. If they're not living in Britain, can they retain their titles? Edward and Wallis are the only two that I can give as examples on this one. Edward retained his HRH, but Wallis never had a HRH. She was just a duchess. She was never given that HRH title when she married Edward. They lived in exile in France and received a generous allowance for their lifestyle. I honestly think if Harry and Meghan move to the States, they will play the card to keep their HRH titles as a trade-off for leaving. Meghan knows that worth of the title, especially in the circles that she wants to run around in. How would you all feel if they moved and retained both their titles and received an allowance from the Crown? I think the writing is on the wall for this pair. The documentary was clearly testing the water on how the public would receive their woe is me tale. And I'm here to say, unfortunately, life isn't fair. But had you come into this role with genuine compassion and willingness to abide by the rules and the protocols and be a good member of the royal family and do your duty, you would have been adored, I think. So what do you all think about these Buckingham Palace comments that have been fed through a senior courtier of the royal family? Do you think it was right to slap their PR team down? And ultimately slapping Harry and Meghan as well by saying, you are not modernising the monarchy. Please mind your words. Do you think that this is going to be the end of it? Or do you think that this is just the start of the war between the Windsors and the Sussexes? What do you think about them possibly moving to the States? It's looking more and more likely that that is where they're going. And this 6 weeks sabbatical for family time that they're taking makes even more sense now. Are they looking for properties? Who knows? As always, let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to, hit that like button and also hit that notification bell and you'll be notified when I release any new videos. Thank you to anybody that has donated to my channel. I really, really do appreciate every single donation. It warms my heart that you guys do that, and I just wanted to send a big thank you. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you very soon.